Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be with you this morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to thank Pastor Fillmore for inviting me to come, and I want to also thank her and thank those of you that are involved already in Three Rivers Festival of Hope with Franklin Graham. I understand that we've had several from Beulah that have attended the Christian Life and Witness course. Thank you for coming and for being a part. And we look forward to the coming weeks and months as to what God's going to do. As we think about the festival and what's taking place, we have right now, I think as of last Friday it was, we had 457 churches that are participating with us from 57 different denominations. So we are thankful and grateful for those who are involved and for that participation. We just look forward to what the Lord's going to do in the coming weeks and months. Now, as you can tell, I may sound funny to you because you have an accent. I'm not from Pennsylvania or New York or not even Charlotte. Most people think that folks who work with the Billy Graham team are from Charlotte. I actually live in Mississippi. And I'm a native of Mississippi, and I still live in Mississippi when I am home. I spend a lot of time on the road. As of May 30th, I will have been married for 44 years to the same lady. And we have 2 children. Yes, thank you. When I told one guy one time how much I'm on the road, he says, "No wonder you've been married for so long." But we have 2 children, 2 grown children, and we have 3 grandchildren that I'm thankful for, and they are a lot of fun. As we think about this passage of Scripture this morning from Mark's Gospel, chapter 2, and verses 1 through 5, we find in this passage, and by the way, I love the children's message this morning. This was great. It helped me understand my sermon better. But anyway, in this passage, we're told that Jesus is in Capernaum, which was located on the northwestern shore of Galilee. And Capernaum had become Jesus' adopted home as long as he lived and as long as he was sharing and ministering around the Sea of Galilee. Matthew, in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 9 and verse 1, referred to Capernaum as Jesus' hometown. Now, there was a huge crowd at this house where Jesus was preaching and teaching. It was probably Peter's house, we're told. In fact, the crowd was so large that people could not get inside to where Jesus was. So, because of this, and there were 4 men who came and who were bringing a paralyzed man on a stretcher, as we would say today, and they couldn't get inside to get the man to where Jesus was. So they take this man onto the roof, and they dig a hole in the roof, and they allow and lower the man down in front of Jesus. That's kind of our background for what we want to say this morning. Now, as we think about this passage, this is a great example of bringing people to Jesus, I think. I would like for us to consider just for a few minutes this morning how these men brought this man to Jesus. A great example. First of all, I would share with you, and I would ask you to consider the love that was demonstrated by these 4 men. They not only felt something, but they did something. And I think that's important, that they not only felt something, but they did something. You see, love motivated these men to go where the paralyzed man was and to bring him to Jesus. This was an unconditional kind of love. It was an in spite of love. It was the same kind of love that Jesus expressed when he died on the cross for our sins. You see, this kind of love goes beyond social status, goes beyond race, goes beyond nationality. And one of the ways that we as Christ's followers can demonstrate this kind of love is to be intentional about reaching out to people who need to experience the love and the forgiveness of Jesus Christ. Because we meet people every day who have never experienced this good news of Jesus Christ that we talk about. We meet them in the grocery stores, we meet them in our workplace, we meet them in a lot of different places, in a lot of different venues, if you will. But many of them, they may not look like we look, they may sound different from how we sound, but at the very same time, they all have that one need that every human being needs, and that is the need for love and forgiveness and for a new direction and purpose in life that only Jesus Christ can give. So I would say to us this morning, think about the love that was demonstrated by these men when they went out of their way and they intentionally brought this man so that he could be let down in front of Jesus. Also, think with me, if you will, about the cooperation of these men. These men, in order to get this man to Jesus, they had to work together. They had a goal. They agreed on a plan, I'm sure. And they had a strategy to get this man in front of Jesus. These men worked hard, and they worked together to bring this man to Jesus. Each man carrying a corner of the stretcher, sharing the load and the responsibility to get this man to Jesus. Now, in the Christian community around Pittsburgh, we have the opportunity to come together around a common goal, to see men, women, boys, and girls come to faith in Jesus Christ. In other words, to bring people to Jesus of all ages. As we prepare for the Three Rivers Festival of Hope, we're asking Christians from all over the Three Rivers area to bring people to Jesus by cooperating, by working together and sharing one corner of the stretcher, so to speak, in order to get people to come to faith in Jesus Christ. So we have an opportunity to bring people and to see people experience the love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ. May I ask you this morning, would you be willing to be one of those individuals who is willing to intentionally reach out to their friend, to their neighbor, to their family member, to that person, maybe that co-worker, that person that you know that has never experienced the love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ? Would you be willing to reach out to that individual, be intentional about it, and bring that person? You see, consider with me also the faith of these four men. Think with me for a moment about their faith. These men were convinced that if they could get this man to Jesus, that he would heal them. They were convinced. Matter of fact, they were so convinced that they were willing to do whatever it took to get this man to Jesus. Are we willing to go to that extent? They were willing to do whatever it took to get this man to Jesus because they knew that Jesus could make a difference in this man's life. You see, a personal relationship with Jesus Christ can give a person a new desire, a new direction, and a new dynamic. Possibly you may be here this morning and you have never experienced the love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ that I'm talking about. You have never personally invited Jesus Christ to come into your heart and save you and forgive you and into your heart and take over the controls in your life. I'm here to say to you this morning, if you have never actually done this, then I want to share with you the good news that Jesus Christ can make a difference in your life from now until eternity by your willingness to open your heart and your life to Him and invite Him to come in and be the Lord of your life. He will give you a new dynamic. You see, I believe that the Bible teaches that the ultimate solution for every human being is to experience the love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ. The question for us this morning is, do we really believe that? Do we really believe that? Do we really believe that Jesus Christ Do we believe that he can transform a drug addict? Do we really believe that he can heal and restore a marriage? If so, are we willing to do whatever it takes to get people and to bring people to Jesus Christ so that they can experience this love and forgiveness? May I share with you this morning? There are a lot of great programs that are available today in our culture to help people. And those are good. Okay? They're good. You hear me say that they're good. But at the same time, there's not a program that any organization or any church would have that can change the inside of a person. Only Jesus Christ can do that. Only Christ can make that kind of difference. Do you know why I know that? Do you know how I know that? I know that because he made the difference in my life. In 1968, as a high school student, I went to see and watch a movie in a movie theater of all places. I watched a movie called The Restless Ones that was produced by the Billy Graham organization. And at the end of that movie, an opportunity was given for people to go forward to receive Christ, and I went forward to receive Christ. Of all places, a theater, a movie theater. And I invited Christ to come into my life. I didn't understand all that I was doing, but I know from that point on, he made a difference in my life. And from that day until this day, he continues to make a difference in my life. And he can do the same thing for any other individual who will open their heart and invite Jesus Christ to come in and take up residence in them. So these men, not only did they work together, not only did they have faith together, not only did they express love together, but also, please consider with me the ingenuity of these men. These men were creative. Their creativity was pretty awesome, because they arrived at Peter's house. They couldn't get the man inside to where Jesus was, so what did they do? Did they give up? Did they say, it's too big a hassle? It's too much of a problem? Did they say, well, we tried and we couldn't do it? What did they do? Well, there was a creative guy among the group. So they go on top of the house. They tear part of the roof back and they lower the man down in front of Jesus, so he could heal him and forgive him. May I challenge us this morning to be creative in our approach in order to get people to Jesus? You see, there are a lot of different methods to get people to Jesus. There is one message, you see. Now, when we get to the festival in August 15 through 17, that's a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Our program, there's a lot of music in the festival program. Now, Franklin will be speaking every time. He will be speaking every time. But Friday night, there's music. Saturday night, there's music. And by the way, that's the youth emphasis night, when the music will be loud, so bring your earplugs. And I don't understand the lyrics in a lot of the songs. I admit it, that I don't understand. I'm not young enough to understand the lyrics. But the young people understand them. And if you watch the young people, they will sing along with the lyrics. But the music draws them. Music is a tool, it's a method to get the kids there. You know what? The Christian kids will not be embarrassed about inviting their non-Christian friends to come, because the music is good. We have some of the bands and some of the groups that they listen to on the radio or their iPod or whatever. We have some of those same bands that will be with us. And so it's neutral territory, so to speak, because some people may be a little bit nervous about, if they're not a Christ follower, they may be a little bit nervous about coming to a church, because there are a lot of people There are a lot of people in our culture today who have not grown up in church, and when they pass by out here and they see Beulah Church, they don't know what happens here in Beulah Church. They don't know what you do here. They really don't. They don't have a clue. But when you can invite a person to go to the consult center, that's neutral territory. They're open to that. And when they hear you're going to have some music and some pretty good music, you know, and it's an opportunity to say, hey, come go with me. And yes, we will have some music for some of the adults as well, okay? So don't, we will have Michael W. Smith will be there on Sunday night. And for those of you country and western fans, Charlie Daniels will be there as well. All I'm saying is it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get creative and how we approach and how we get people to come and to hear the message, the good news of Jesus Christ, because that's what Franklin will be speaking about. He will be speaking just like his dad did for over 60 years, the plain, simple gospel truth. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that's what Franklin will be speaking about. So, I would challenge you, I would encourage you to be creative in your thinking and creative in terms of reaching out to those people, friends, relatives, acquaintances, people that you know that have never experienced Jesus Christ in their life. And then I would ask you to also think with me about the persistence of these men. The persistence of these men. They didn't give up. They were determined. They did not allow the crowd around the house to discourage them. I think in the children's message that was a great description, because as I'm seeing this in my mind and as according to what I've read, you know, people were so crowded you probably could, and I can just imagine, if you will, if you can just imagine with me a little bit, I'll take a little liberty here. Can you imagine Peter standing maybe outside the door and there are people all crowded in and there may be people, you know, they can't get anyone else, and Peter is nervous and he's wondering, well, what am I going to do with all these people? How am I going to get them in there? You know? I can imagine this kind of going on. But you know, these men, when they got there with this man that they were bringing, they were persistent, they found a way, they made it happen. They didn't give up, they were determined. My challenge to you would be, don't allow anything to hinder or to keep you from connecting with someone that you know, a friend, relative, and from bringing those people to Jesus. Don't allow anything. Now, I've been coming to Pittsburgh now for over a year, and I've got stuck a couple of times outside the tunnels, you know. And my first trip or two in, I couldn't believe. Now our office is in Carnegie, and my first couple of trips into Pittsburgh, I noticed that the Green Tree exit is where the traffic started backing up. So I thought to myself, we need an office in the Green Tree area. So we tried to get an office in the Green Tree area. We couldn't make that happen. And then we found out about this office space in Carnegie. And I thought, oh, wow, that's one exit before that from where we're staying. So I thought, great. So that's where our office is in Carnegie. But yes, I've been stuck in some of the traffic. I know how it works. So don't allow the traffic in Pittsburgh to keep you from bringing people to be exposed to hear the good news of Jesus Christ and for inviting them to come. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, the Bible says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we don't give up." Let's be persistent. Let's don't give up. Let's keep on keeping on. Let's be proactive about bringing people to hear the gospel, the good news. We have a really great practical tool that we have used over the years. It's called Bring a Friend. You should have one in your bulletin. As a matter of fact, this idea came out of the 1954 crusade in London. 1954. If you want to try to find that, we called it Operation Andrew. It was called Operation Andrew for a while. I think we have for years. I've been with the organization for a long time, but even before that, I think they had another name for it. I know in the States, when we first introduced it, and it was first introduced in the States, there was an FBI agent who called it God's 10 Most Wanted, is what he had on his. But anyway, it's a very simple concept. In John's Gospel, chapter 1, verse 41 through 42, when Andrew met Jesus, the first thing, he went and found his brother, Simon Peter, and he brought him over and he introduced him to the Lord. So what we're encouraging people to do is think about, just look in the outline here, it says to look around. What about those people that you know, acquaintances, friends that you know? Think about who they are, and then write their names down on the lines or across the page here. Just jot them in. It might be one person, maybe two people, maybe 5 people, but write their names down. And pray for them by name. When you have your quiet time, your devotional time. You do have your devotional time, right? Every day, right? But pray for them. And then look up. Look up, pray for them by name, and then look out. Look for ways to cultivate. Look for ways to cultivate the relationship, to get to know them better, and encourage them. Look for ways to minister to them. There's nothing in the world that would encourage and reach a person who is not a Christian. There's nothing that will reach them more than being sensitive to where they are. And then look forward. Look forward to the time of the festival. And invite them to come with you and bring them with you to the festival. Can I just share with you? That the people who come forward, if you've ever watched the Billy Graham Crusades on TV, if you've been to a Billy Graham Crusade, maybe the one in 9-3 here in Pittsburgh, when those people who come forward, 80%, over 80% of those people who come forward, when they're invited to come forward to make a commitment to Christ, they have been brought by a friend or relative. You see, evangelism depends on relationships. Even though we do newspaper advertising, or we do radio advertising, or we do billboards and the advertising we do, and you'll begin to see it probably around beginning the middle of July. That's when we'll really hit it hard. That only creates an invitation that only creates an environment for an invitation. It gives it credibility. But really what makes the difference is when we reach out to those people that we know who are struggling with this thing called life and need encouragement and need help and need to know that someone cares. And when we intentionally reach out to them and we bring them. And then there is built-in follow-up in this. Notice it says look after. In other words, you've prayed for that individual, you've tried to share with them, you've tried to minister to them where they are in their need. But then if they go forward during the festival making a commitment to Christ, then you can continue to encourage them in that walk. If they don't go forward, continue to be their friend and to encourage them in their walk with the Lord. And may I ask you this morning, as we prepare for the hymn of response, for you to give thought and consideration and prayerful consideration to bringing people to Jesus, and to demonstrate the kind of love that I have shared with you, an unconditional kind of love to reach those people. And remember that we're to work together, and we're to cooperate. And remember that that Jesus Christ can make a difference in that person's life. And then let's get creative. Let's get creative about how we bring those people to Jesus. And now, as we prepare for the hymn of response.